Hey, it's Molly. Welcome back to my YouTube channel as we're going to take a look at one of the biggest astrological energies of 2023. We are going to discuss the very significant influence of Pluto in Aquarius squaring the nodes of fate, the North Node and the South Node. This energy begins in April 2023 and goes into October 2023. That is 6 months of intense pressure, evolution, transformation, and really being clear and honest about a truth that is pushing in, coming forward. And it's also a truth that's requiring purging, requiring shifts and change that are uncomfortable. And this is an energy that's going to have an interesting dance as well. So let's take a look at what we've got here. So this chart that you're looking at is actually set for April 25th, 2023, but the energy truly begins with the Aries Solar Eclipse that occurs April 20th. And that is when Pluto is squaring that solar eclipse. Now I'm going to have a separate video for you on that, but I want to bring that into the conversation. So the second half of April 2023 is when we are entering eclipse season, and Pluto is in Aquarius at 0 degrees, squaring, beginning to square the North Node in Taurus and the South Node in Scorpio. Now, these are known as the nodes, and they reveal how we are collectively and individually growing, with that North Node being what we are bringing into our life, what we are learning, how we are stepping out of a comfort zone and moving towards new energies, especially here in Taurus, that want us to feel stable and secure amongst these big world changes we are moving through. This is also upgrading your sense of self-worth and self-love, really honoring who you are and grounding that in, feeling stronger in that energy, and knowing truly what you're capable of going forward. The South Node is in Scorpio, and that is the energy of completing, allowing energies to be deeply understood so that you can understand what is yours and what is not. Understand where you're sourcing your true power from, or what fears may be holding you back. The South Node also contains our karma that's coming up for us to review and to look at. So what we're seeing here are multiple activation points that I want to go through to really highlight how this is a big deal. Now, with the nodes, they're showing us, as I said, what we're moving towards and how we're growing. But when we look at it at a global level, from the world stage perspective, it's how the collective is growing and how we are learning to work with our finances, be in control of our energy, understand the power of our creativity in Taurus, and what we want to build our life on. And then the South Node in Scorpio is showing us what is no longer emotionally fulfilling and what we could feel we have to work through that can be complicated and intense, but we want to clear it out and sort it out. The square here from Pluto applies a bigger energetic pressure to this work and to the choices you're making, what you're choosing right now. And if you're choosing it from perhaps a reactionary place or a sense of false power, if you are perhaps tangled up in other people's energies, which is a lower Scorpio expression. Lower Scorpio expression is also power and control games, manipulation, betrayal, doing anything to get what you want. There can also be deep-seated trauma, abuse, and energies you've absorbed from others built into that Scorpio energy signature. So this square here from Pluto in Aquarius is applying your knowingness, a new knowingness. Pluto at 0 degrees, fresh into Aquarius, is asking you to really check in with your future self. What is going forward with you and what you're leaving behind, and what choices are you making in navigating your life path now? Between April to October, these choices are even bigger. They're more significant. They're applying even more intensity that you could feel as an energy that is empowering and acknowledging the truth of your energy and who you are. Or it can feel very intense, karmic, like you're even cycling through something that is taking you backwards. Now, these energies are in the fixed signs. Aquarius, Taurus, and Scorpio are fixed signed energies that don't want to budge or move. They resist change until you choose it. They will stay in something even long after it's worn out or it's taken its course. It's like things play out, and then the fixed signs can have trouble letting go and detaching. So this is where you're looking at your own attachment levels to something, someone, or a part of your life, because Pluto is requiring a very deep, intense change within us that can bring up our fears, that can bring up the parts of ourselves that are afraid to let go, but to really move into more of a truth or a sense of personal understanding and self-worth that maybe you're owning for the first time. And maybe there's something that you're learning to steady yourself with here with that North Node in Taurus. But now this Pluto square brings about intense life developments. This is, again, it's really important to look at what you're choosing. Is it taking you here, or is it taking you here? And to know that Pluto wants empowerment, and that happens through an evolutionary process of transformation that unfolds by facing your fears. And there's something that we're being forced to look at that could be really uncomfortable. And it could bring up the fears. It can bring up also what you're tied to with other people. Pluto in Aquarius reveals our soul contracts, our connections to others, and kind of this understanding that, yes, we need other people in our lives. We are social beings. We need interactions. But what is supporting you in rising up, and how does that really empower your energy and enforce where you want to go next? Or does it feel like it's weighted down and heavy and burdensome and a lot to carry? And with the Pluto squares, something has to give. Something has to change. Something is being forced to the surface. It's being purged out. And so if you have planets or points between 0 to 4 degrees of the fixed signs, so 0 to 4 degrees of Aquarius, 0 to 4 degrees of Taurus, 0 to 4 degrees of Leo, 0 to 4 degrees of Scorpio, this is working with you very intensely, and it's a slow-moving energy that actually is going to unfold into 2024 as well. So you're being asked to understand your deepest fears. And that's part of the square to the South Node in Scorpio. To work with that, to be aware of it, to stay mindful of it, to face it, to know that you have the strength to do so. And that that's going to be a big theme for you, especially April into mid-July. Mid-July. Now, let me explain a few more things here in this chart. As I said, this is for April 25th. And I chose this day because it's after the April 19th, 20th solar eclipse, which activates this energy. But it's also when the sun is conjunct the North Node. And you can see here, this is Vesta in the chart. And this is Astrea, which is an asteroid. I have a video for you in my YouTube playlist talking about both Astrea and Vesta. But I wanted to highlight how the sun is conjunct the North Node, which gives us warmth, light, energy, trust in where we're going and what we're heading into. But we also have this pressure from Pluto in Aquarius, which is requiring a rebirth, requiring you to rise up in your sense of self, in your skills. It's giving you the power to be different, to step away from the crowd, to follow your own path, to do something your own way, to not feel obligated to others, especially because the North Node in Taurus is about the self, your personal value, what you have, what you own, what you want. And then there's that pressure, this Pluto squaring the South Node, the pressure to look at what you've been holding for others, what you've, again, felt obligated into, that you've outgrown, you no longer want it, you're done, you're different. We're going to see a lot of people changing life direction with this energy. This is requiring a life change. It's requiring you to be different, to own your journey, and to understand that that's exactly what's needed in the world right now. But depending on your chart, and of course depending on if you have a lot of fixed energy or fixed signs, this could be a really hard change that you're resisting. I'm also feeling like sometimes with the fixed signs, the change doesn't happen until the last minute or until all other choices have been removed. And then you leap and move to the next lily pad. And so this could be something that you're struggling with or fighting against. But this is where the universe is signaling to you of a life change, a new direction, moving into the power of what you've truly come to understand about who you are. So what happens is this North Node and this South Node, they move in reverse. They go retrograde. So they're traveling back to 0 degrees, which means that as of April, the energy is moving backwards and it's increasing its pressure on this square to Pluto. So the South Node is going to move back to 0 degrees of Scorpio. The North Node moves back to 0 degrees of Taurus, increasing the intensity of this transformation, this truth. Something has to come out. Something has to budge. And by the way, this Pluto is the stronger energy. And it's something in your life that's already established. It's something that you already know because it's a fixed sign energy. It's already something that you've built, you've created, and maybe you're afraid of it collapsing and being destroyed. You're afraid of letting go, afraid of letting go, afraid of the financial responsibilities involved. That's part of the Taurus Scorpio axis, is that it is about our value system, and that includes our finances and our money. So there is going to be a built-in financial energy here. Now on the world stage, this absolutely would signal financial collapses happening left, right, and center. This would be Pluto coming in and destroying financial systems, markets, banks, things that are not in integrity or not working in the highest good of the people. That's part of this energy too. So at a personal level, we're all going to be feeling that. Our finances are going to become even stronger. April to October, our focus on financial energy. and what that looks like, what that means, making new financial decisions, new investments, perhaps minimizing risk, moving things around. The Scorpio energy is insurance companies, banks, mortgages, collective entities and structures that hold money from multiple places like mutual funds. I am not giving you financial advice, by the way. I'm talking about the astrology. Please don't take this as what to do with your portfolio. Please consult a financial expert for that guidance. I'm just speaking about the astrological themes here that signify a big financial change in the world markets, which we've been talking about for a while now, especially as Uranus has been shaking up the energies in Taurus. So this is where Pluto comes in, and this energy increases as the North Node and the South Node move to 0 degrees, move this way, and increase that tight square, tightening the pressure, tightening the requirement for change, tightening what you have to change in your life because it's not going to last much longer. Pluto destroys in order to rebuild. There are things that have to be taken down so they can be created in a new consciousness or a new energy. So what happens as this plays out? As I said, remember, it starts the strongest in April. It goes into October, but we have a very fascinating energy shift. As this Pluto retrogrades back into the late degrees of Capricorn in June. It goes back into Capricorn, and it will go back to 27 degrees, 54 minutes of Capricorn. As this Pluto re-enters Capricorn in June, these nodes move into the North Node of Aries, South Node of Libra in mid-July. And what that means is that now there's going to be Pluto in Capricorn squaring the North Node in Aries and the South Node in Libra. So the square continues as they each move into the cardinal signs. Now the cardinal signs are about what we want to initiate and begin, and Pluto is going to square the nodes, applying a pressure on the new parts of you that you want to birth and have revealed, that you want to really own and step into. It's also applying more relationship changes. And so keep in mind that the Scorpio energy is about what you share with others, what you shared through joint status, marital possessions, joint investments, what you share with other people. You're both financially responsible for it. Then as the South Node moves into Libra, that's also a relationship energy. And so it applies pressure on relationships that you've outgrown or feeling like they're over, feeling they're complete, feeling that there's not much in common anymore, or really understanding, well, how do I restructure this connection so that we're on the same page? What has been out of balance between us that we need to acknowledge or see? And if it doesn't have common ground, the Pluto squaring the South Node in Libra will mean the relationship's over. So big endings here. Whether those are friendships, partnerships, business relationships, marriages, anything that you're sharing with others, we're all going to have a reassessment of that and understanding what is in resonance with who you are now. Because that North Node in Taurus and the North Node in Aries are about the self, the early stages of self-discovery. Like feeling like you're new again, feeling like there's a new parts of you coming out, that rebirth, that sense of I'm different, I've really changed, I feel it, I sense it, and I'm understanding my power with it, my power in my new sense of self, my power in what I want and where I'm moving forward next. So So Pluto goes back into Capricorn, 29 to 27 degrees of Capricorn, and maintains a square to the nodes of fate, where now there's a focus on what is ready to begin, what feels like it's pushing through you to emerge and start, and that intensity that is part of anything you want to begin that could feel so fresh, and you're wondering, how's it going to work? How's it going to come together? But I have to do it. I'm ready to get started. But that square from Pluto adds in perhaps some complications, adds in some things that don't feel so simple just yet. Pluto travels back to 27 degrees of Capricorn, where it stations direct October 11th. And then we'll start to move forward again. And so it really isn't until November that Pluto has moved away from this square to the nodes of fate. And that means the world is deeply and permanently changing in the direction it's going. There are timeline shifts occurring in your own life. April to October, November, there's going to be radical changes happening for each of us individually, especially if you have planets or points, as I said, 0 to 4 degrees of the fixed signs, or 27 to 29 degrees of the cardinal signs. 27 to 29 degrees of Capricorn, Aries, Cancer, or Libra. You're really feeling this pressure to even begin a new life, begin a new chapter in your life, to really deeply face your fears or limitations that have held you back, to look at where you're ready to summon more courage, more strength, more trust. This energy is also going to change leadership on the planet, which is part of the Capricorn, Pluto in Capricorn, and then the North Node going into Aries. Leadership changes, new directions emerge because of it. This is also something where the pressure is going to be so intense. June, July, August, September, October, November. It's going to be so intense for a number of months that there can be a lot of destructive actions, almost like people not knowing what to do with the energy or with the changes, and the fear around it, the fear around change, the fear around evolution, the fear around destruction and collapses, and how it's looking at your own toolkit. You know, how do you work with big life changes and significant events unfolding across the world that affect everyone? And that's part of the Aquarius and Capricorn energies, is that it affects everyone. And so we have some energies here that are going to show us what we're choosing, what we're carrying, and what we want to travel with, that helps us maintain our stability, maintain our sense of self, understand that it's part of a cycle, nothing lasts forever, and that there will be opportunities for rebuilding. But these are serious changes. These are full systems collapsing and things no longer being able to hold their own. And as the nodes move backwards into Aries and Libra, we're going to really see what's been out of balance. We're going to understand more about what it means to be in our individual and collective power. I mean, think about how throughout the history of the world, we've resorted to going to war for various causes, various ideologies and differences. And this certainly has the energy signature of looking at what we're fighting for, of what truth we're standing in, and what the long-term consequences of that are. Even the long-term PTSD of certain life events and circumstances and things that come up that you look back on hindsight and it's like, why did we choose that? Why did we go down that path? What was that even about? That was fool's gold. It really didn't pay off. It didn't bring about, what we thought was worth fighting for. And I'm feeling like there's going to be a need to rise in our own consciousness around how we're individually and collectively showing up on the planet, living our lives, trusting our energy, and applying our spiritual practices and beliefs in a way that is accepting, that is kind, that is loving, that allows others to be different from us and to not go to war about it. I mean, I'm just feeling like there's going to be a lot of tight energy here that can feel threatening. It's all or nothing energy too, that square. That square from Pluto. It's a requirement for change. And it could feel like there's an intensity here that can be a lot to process as well. So again, this starts in April 2023. It lasts into October, November 2023. Pluto will re-enter this 0-degree point of Aquarius in 2024, January 21st until September 2nd. Then it goes back into Capricorn again and then returns to Aquarius November 20th, 2024. I'm sharing these dates with you because it also continues to trigger the April 19th and 20th solar eclipse that squares the nodes. So this is the specifics of the astrology that tells us that whatever begins in April 2023 is going to be playing out for a while, and it's shifting the trajectory of energies on the planet. And it will be one for the history books, one for the records. It is a big deal when Pluto interacts with the nodes of fate. Now keep in mind that typically, Pluto would square the nodes for weeks, maybe a month or so, and then the nodes move on. But in this case, with Pluto standing still, as the nodes move in reverse, as I said, the energy tightens, then Pluto retrogrades at the same time that the nodes switch signs, and it extends this period of getting into the truth of what's not working. And that's part of how Pluto operates. Pluto is revelations, skeletons in the closet, what's been secret and hidden, what's been oppressed and held back. In Aquarius, it's the people, humanity. How has humanity been betrayed recently? How have there been big energies coming up and coming forth that have been squashed? How has this Aquarius energy not fully been activated, because it will be as Pluto continues through Aquarius. So there's a lot here. There's a lot built in here that will last for 6 to 7 months of intense pressure. And it's going to be something for us to consciously and intentionally navigate. It's also working with some of the eclipse points that we've had, where we had Scorpio solar eclipse at 2 degrees. So we're working with eclipses, which is what the nodes do. These nodes are connected to the eclipse cycles, for those who aren't aware. So that's why the energy starting during the April eclipse really kicks off something that we're meant to see, know, and understand. And then it will be intense until November, and then it gets reactivated in 2024. So here we are. And we are going to be able to handle this. We're going to know what is correct for us. We have come so far in our collective and individual journeys. You probably are able to trust yourself more than ever. And it's going to be very important to understand how to take care of your energy, how to maintain a sense of empowerment, to remain in your light, to really understand where your energy goes out, but to make sure you are transmuting any fear, acknowledging the fears, but then returning to the fact that we're going to get through anything, and you have more than you know to keep counting on in yourself. So there's a lot here, and we'll keep talking about it. We will keep discussing it, and I will be mentioning it as well a little bit in my April solar eclipse chart video that I'll have out for you shortly. So keep in mind, very big energy here throughout the middle of 2023. And it will be working with you more personally if you have planets and points between 27 to 29 degrees of cardinal signs and 0 to 4 degrees of the fixed signs. If you don't have any planets or points at those within that degree range, you're still going to be experiencing it through the world events and world changes. But again, it will be more personal for you if you have planets or points in the cardinal, late degrees of the cardinal signs, early degrees of the fixed signs. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope this gives you a good, valuable heads up, which is one of the best applications of astrology. I'll be back soon with another video. Thank you so much for your comments, your likes, and your subscribes, and I'll see you back here shortly.